Hey everybody, welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and today we're talking about American Ninja Warrior Jr. The Universal Kids show takes real kid athletes and turns them into junior ninjas as they go head-to-head on challenging courses. Guys, I love this show, and I love watching these kids tackle obstacles that most adults, including myself, would never attempt. And here to break it all down are hosts Matt Iseman, Akbar Gbajabiamila, and Victoria Arlen. Guys, welcome. How you doing today?
Thank you, Brittany.
Great. How are you?
I have to say, I'm obviously a huge fan of American Ninja Warrior, and had poked in the first season to see these kids, and I'm just like always floored by just the athleticism. And so for you two, because you host the other one, was there any hesitation on hosting the kids version?
No, I don't think there was a hesitation.
Yeah.
To me, it's the natural extension. American Ninja Warrior is the most family-watched show on television. In other words, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, all watching together. And I think that's what the show is really about. So it was a natural extension because kids were running around in everyone's living rooms pretending to create these Ninja Warrior courses. The idea of saying, we're going to give you this shot a lot earlier than you thought for kids 9 to 14 to get them on. And we didn't know how they would be competing. We knew they had skills, but it's different. Being in front of thousands, having millions watch you at home, it's different. And what blew us away was how they responded to that pressure.
And they not only responded to that pressure, there's an added pressure that's different from the show that everyone's accustomed to seeing, is that they have to compete against another ninja while competing against the course. So it's the obstacle within the obstacle, and to see that they had the temperament. You know, there's this notion that kids, especially nowadays, they're softer than the previous generation, and you wondered, could their temperament handle this type of pressure? Competing against another ninja, there's got to be a winner and there's got to be a loser in those rounds. And so to see them step up, encourage the other one, to be able to take defeat, learn from the defeat, come back, bounce back, all of these learning lessons that typically takes a person maybe 10, 15 years of their life to kind of accumulate, they're learning that all within this one competition. And it's great to see how these kids really show their resilience and show them that this new generation ain't soft.
Yeah. And you're joining on this season.
Yes, I'm the rookie.
You're down like the sideline host reporter. You're down in the action. What was appealing about taking on this role?
So I worked in television for the last 5 years, and I think I've been a fan of the Ninja franchise since the beginning, and these two as well. And so that appealed to me, but then the fact that these are kids, and these are kids with voices and stories and skills, and so to be able to bring all that together and help tell their stories and also celebrate their victories and also cheer them on when they have, you know, moments of defeat was really appealing to me. And it also just, when you step out and see the course, and when you start reading about these kids even before they start competing, it's incredible. And these kids did not disappoint. I mean, on the course, but also just once you actually got to have a conversation with them, it's really special. And it's something that I think we need, those young voices speaking up, and for families and kids alike, it's really special. So to be able to be a part of that is really cool. And these guys are pretty awesome too. So
I connect to what you guys are saying because like I don't have children, and I'm watching these kids compete, and I now know the kind of parent I would be on a sideline because I'm way too emotionally involved in what these kids are doing. Yet, as you mentioned, when they lose, they do it so gracefully, and they're cheering each other on, and I'm just floored by just the camaraderie.
Sportsmanship is amazing. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things which is why American Ninja Warrior has done so well, in that it is distinctly unlike any other competition show on television, where we're heading into season 12 now for American Ninja Warrior. We've had 2 people win. So every single other person who's competed has fallen. No. And normally you think of coming up short or failure, but when you watch the show, you see more success than I think on any other show, because what it is people aren't competing against each other. They're competing against themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we see with Ninja Junior. Even though they're going head to head, so many of these kids can find victory in showing up, in just getting through one obstacle, whatever it is. And then everything else, I think that's the core principle of this, is just trying to be a better version of you. And that's something I think that's universal.
And when you see the tears on the show, because we show it all. We show, I mean, a variety of emotions when you watch.
We didn't cry that much.
I know I did, because some of...
I think I should have.
Yeah, I did, because I was fighting back. I had to tell one ninja, stop it, because you're going to make me cry. I had to kind of keep, I don't want to mess up the makeup, you know what I mean? So... But for me, I love the fact that I see the tears and the emotions because to me, I tell my own kids at home, I tell them, I said, tears just mean that you care, that you wanted it badly, that you set a goal, that you had these visions of greatness. And when you see that in these kids, it's just like, I don't know, it's something moving about seeing the next generation being greater than the previous one.
Yeah.
And so let's break down how it is a little different than American Ninja Warrior,
Yes.
right? In the format. So Matt, do you want to kind of take us through that?
Yeah, essentially a Ninja Warrior, it's one person on the course seeing who qualifies. Here what we do, it's all head-to-head. So it starts off in every episode, you're competing against the other athletes in your age group. We have a seeding race, a knockout race, then we have the final showdown to see who's advancing. And all of this kind of boils down to we're just trying to put these ninjas head-to-head to see who gets to advance, but we have a wild card element as well so that people get a second chance because we want these kids to come out and get as many chances on this course as possible. So every 4 weeks, you're going to see a showdown, a qualifier, or quarterfinals, and then it advances to the finals in the end. It's a long way of going. We explain it in the show.
But you know what? It's kind of like the NCAAs in the basketball tournament where you get that March Madness, but only it's happening in February, in March, and in April, and in May, and in June. So we've got 17 weeks of this type of high-intensity competition that leaves you literally on the edge of your seats, kind of, sitting there, and you begin to get favorites, too. You start looking at them. Then there are your Cinderella stories that come out of nowhere. You're like, yo, where did this person come from?
And then you just get these incredible voices that you're talking about the course, you're talking about something, and then they just have something to say, whether it's about themselves or their fellow competitor. And you're sitting there and you're celebrating, but at the same time, you're just catching all the feels too. And it's like, you're like, oh my gosh, like you're 9? Okay. Cool.
Do you guys have a memorable child or whose backstory or just their athletic experience
So
was
many
really
of them,
inspiring?
but I think that's what's cool is it's great to see these moments of accomplishment, and we get that on the big show. But what I think I love about it is you're seeing moments that could change. These are like life lessons, moments that could change their life, the way they perceive hardship or the way they perceive a difficulty. We have a guy, Vance Walker, who's a returning champion. He was 13 years old last year, won the 13-14 age group. He's coming back this year. He was born with cerebral palsy, had to wear braces on his legs starting out. They weren't sure what his prognosis was moving forward, but it certainly didn't include American Ninja Warrior Junior. And here he is. He won it last year. And in fact, this kid was so good. All the junior ninjas were so good that we've decided to do something. We're changing American Ninja Warrior. So it used to be 21 years of age to compete on the show. A couple years ago, we dropped it to 19 because we saw some great kids showing potential. After watching American Ninja Warrior Junior, we've lowered the age to 15. So we're going to have some ninjas who compete on American Ninja Warrior Junior this year, competing against adults for $1 million.
And that to me is so big. It's such a big news because that just speaks to how powerful the platform of American Ninja Warrior Junior has been, giving these kids the opportunity to essentially go pro. Because that's what they're doing. They're going pro, and they're going to be competing with some of the top ninjas in the world again on the hardest obstacle course in the world. But you asked a question earlier, and for me, the one thing that stood out was last year. Actually, it takes me back to last year, and there's this one kid who had kind of low self-esteem and didn't feel like he fit in at school, and kids didn't accept him. And Matt asked a question once he got to the top of the warped wall, and he goes, "Do you feel like you belong?" And he goes, "Yes, I belong." And it broke me because you saw it. Like, I think the primal need for every human is wanting to matter. Everyone wants to matter. And to be on a platform where he could hit that buzzer, win that race, and know that he mattered. And it took something like that. It was just really symbolic, but he took that and it gave him that boost that he needed. I could personally relate to it in knowing how, when you do well in athletics, sometimes it allows the people around you to see you differently for who you really are. And for him, that was his moment, and I saw it in him, and it was a special moment. And you see that this year in season 2 as well.
Definitely, as an ex-NFL player, and then you as a former Paralympian swimmer, what does it mean for you, the journey you've been on, the long journey to recovery for you, and then hearing stories like Matt just mentioned, like, does it help you connect even more with these young athletes?
Oh, absolutely. I think storytelling is something that obviously I've shared my story quite a bit, but I think being able to share other stories is has been something I've really thoroughly enjoyed. And so when I was brought on, that was a big appeal to me, was sharing these kids' stories and being a part of the storytelling element. And even Vance, and I relate to that tremendously. And I learned how to walk 4 years ago. And so I think, but that's the beautiful thing, is there's so many different stories and so many different ways for people who are watching to connect and be inspired, not just with what they're doing on the course, but just with who they are and what they have to say off the course. And so for me, that was really, really special. And I was inspired, and I continually, like, I felt like I called my mom on the first day and I'm like, how am I getting paid for this? Like, and she's like, don't tell anyone that. And I was like, yeah, I won't, but oh my God.
Don't worry, we say the same things.
Yeah, right? Like, how is this a job? And it's such an honor, and it's cool because since the announcement and stuff, you just hear how many people and families and kids are fans and have been inspired. And I think in a world where there is the bullying and there is kind of this negativity, to have something so positive and inspiring, and these young voices realizing they have a voice and inspiring the other young voices out there watching, it's really special.
Yeah. One thing I learned that I didn't realize is that so many of the American Ninja Warriors have gone back to their own communities and started gyms.
Yeah. What?
So
Yeah.
this community is just continuing to grow, and a lot of these kids attend those gyms, and then some of those mentors are a part of this show.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because you would, think, you would think that this would produce a bunch of athletes, and it does,
Yeah.
but it's producing
More ninjas.
businessmen and business women who are opening up these gyms. That's crazy.
When you see families too, like parents who were on the adult course who are now raising their kids, and it's a family affair, which is really
I love
cool.
it. You know, we all participated in traditional sports. And I think what's great is, for a lot of kids, they don't like, for whatever reason, it doesn't suit their skill set or their temperament. And Ninja Warrior, I think, is unlike anything else, where it is, you come in as a rookie, and our guys who've been doing it for over a decade, they're not hazing you.
Yeah.
Instead, they're saying, hey, if you're here, you're one of us. You're a Ninja Warrior. And this supportive vibe where they're all, we've seen this where you see one person on the course, or occasionally two, but no one does it alone. And you see how important that community is, whether it's the gym they're training, whether it's their friends, or really their family. And I love that with Ninja Junior, having the families on the side.
Well, and the camaraderie too with the kids. I mean, I think that was what was so special, is there was times where we would do double interviews, whether they were up with you guys or down with me, and you have one kid that's won and the other that has lost, and you see them cheering on one another and saying, you know what, I'm really excited to cheer on my friend. I'm really excited to watch them, and hopefully they win and stuff. And it goes against what normally traditional sports, where we're brought up, you have to win, and you have, and there's none of that. And even the families, you see the families cheering together, and a lot of them, this is a family affair on so many different levels, and that's really special. And the community is just unreal.
And even the acceptance amongst other ninjas. I mean, you're saying it, Matt's saying it, that, you know, playing in the NFL, that wasn't a thing. You coming in as a rookie, you had to earn your way.
Yep.
But I can remember as a rookie and, you know, asking the veteran defensive lineman, hey, what's this play? And how do I do this? And you're left on your own, or giving you wrong information just so you could mess up because you're a threat. You're the young guy coming in with all the, you know, whatever coming in from college. They're like, nah, I can't give you that information. You got to find out on your own. That doesn't happen, you know, in Ninja. And it's not fake. It's something that is very authentic. You can see them just naturally embrace themselves. And I asked one of the ninjas, like, how does that happen? Like, what's different from the NFL locker room than the Ninja culture? And it's like, you know what? The people who have this egotistical mindset and it's all about me, they naturally weed themselves out because they don't fit into the culture. It's just like one of those things, like a puzzle. It doesn't fit. You toss it out.
And the course is very humbling.
Yes, it is.
I feel like
yes,
it is a
that's
very
true.
humbling.
That is
I
true.
stared at that warped wall and was like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, I can barely just walk in a
That's a great
straight
point.
line.
I
That's
love
a great
the
point.
humbling.
That's a great
on
point.
ninjas
thing,
sometimes when
yeah.
you see somebody and they're all confident and you're like, you're not gonna be able to do it.
Yeah.
But you can tell they're really athletic maybe somewhere else, but they're not
But it's a
properly
different-
prepared for
it's a
this
different
arena.
kind, yeah.
I have to know, because it would be the first thing I would do. Since the kids courses are modified and a little easier than the American Ninja courses, have you guys tried it?
Yes, well, I tried I ran the course in 2018 on the Red Nose Special, and I ran that course. I trained for 3 months, got with one of the ninjas. It was so humbling. My first session lasted about 30 seconds because my muscles pumped out. I'm so used to lifting weights and doing some of those traditional weight room and football type workouts that it just didn't cross over to ninja. Now, on the other hand, there have been other people, I'm not saying anything, but there are other people
I have
know.
been banned from doing the course.
Oh.
They will not let me on the last 2 times. They broke my foot and broke my ankle. So they said, you stick with a microphone running your mouth. Don't run the course.
You legitimately broke bones.
Yes.
Multiple times.
Multiple times,
Yeah,
yeah.
multiple times.
And
Fascinating.
Which, again, it was awesome, though. I loved doing it because it's one thing, not breaking the bones.
Oh, okay.
But it's one thing to have watched it for over a decade and to see these obstacles and to understand the physics behind it, the kinesiology. But it's another thing to actually stand at the foot of an obstacle. And that's why I have such respect for what these kids do.
Yeah.
Have you? No.
I've only been walking for like 3.5 years at this point, and my mom's like, "We still have your wheelchair, and we really don't feel like using it." So I'm still wobbly on my feet. So no, my dad almost did, and then he forgot his sneakers.
Oh,
on the
he
last
forgot.
day
He forgot
of
his
filming. Like he was like, "I'm gonna do the course. It's gonna be great." And he's an athlete, and then he forgot his sneakers. So
I had that itch. I
Yeah.
just couldn't wear. I said, you know what? I better do this before things start going downhill for me. But I'm glad I did it because now what I do, like I'm telling you guys this, but every time I tell people, oh, I just ran it last year. Look at it on YouTube. Go to YouTube. Look at it on YouTube. Because every year I can say that. It's on YouTube. I never have to do it again.
Yeah.
It was filmed. It was done. I never have to.
well, that was my fear, is that there was no promise that it wouldn't be filmed.
But you have editing rights.
Yes,
Yeah,
but I
you
would.
can-
I
you
don't
can
think I
cut-
would make it past the first thing. Like
Well,
I
I will
feel like
tell you,
I would walk up
my
and
most
fall.
viewed video is me exploding my foot on the obstacle. So you can check that out.
But Jessie Graff, one of just the Ninja Superstars, she's been texting me and trying to get me and just like doing a few little things. So maybe.
Oh, she will humble you. I've
Strength
worked
down.
out with
Yeah.
her before, and she has shamed me. I mean, she didn't physically try. I mean, well, she did, but she didn't like, personally try to shame me. But she was like, "Oh yeah, Akbar, just do this, and then do like this, and then pull up." I'm like, "That's easy for you to say."
That brings up another reason why I think this show is amazing, is that women and men, young and old, everyone, regardless of your background, regardless of what you face to get there, you all compete on the same course.
Yeah.
And I think you don't see that anywhere else. And we love it that the women have just been forces. And seeing the influence now, so many of these young girls were saying, man, I competed because I love Jessie Graff or Casey Catanzaro. And now we get to tell these girls, you realize there's some girl at home watching, and she's going to say the same thing about you.
Yeah,
I
it's
immediately connected to that.
Yeah.
I was a athlete growing up, and I had 3 older brothers, and I always wanted to play with the boys. And I'm watching these little girls go literally head to head.
Yes.
Oftentimes beating the little boys, and I just can't imagine what a confidence builder that is. And also for the little boys to know that, like, you know, we're all in this together. Everybody's equal. Like,
Yeah.
let's do this. There's so many like underlying messages, and just like having that dynamic play.
Well, I
out.
think for the young girls, right, it beats the stereotype, and so that is the confident booster. But on Ninja Warrior, like we just talked about, I mean, the course is humbling itself. So I think you can throw gender, you can throw height, you can throw all that stuff out, and you're just getting your ninja on.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Get your ninja on. Yeah.
Just last before we go to questions, what do you think it is about this franchise that people connect with? Because we see it coming back year after year. It is more popular year after year. We have gyms sprouting up cities across. Like, what is it
The
about this
host,
culture?
definitely the host.
For sure.
No,
Oh,
honestly,
wait, really quick though. Your guys' energy is
no,
so
thank
fun
you.
to watch.
It's all we do is react to what we're given. But I would say, to me, it's the stories. That the stories are what hook you on this. And it's these stories, again, like Victoria, where it's not the obstacles they overcome on the course, it's the ones they overcome off of it. That everybody watches this, and there is somebody who's going through what you or a loved one is going through. And so people find, I think it's, you're rooting, these are everyday people. This guy, 6'6", 260 with a six-pack, he plays in the NFL. But when you see a 5-foot-tall mother of 3 out there going up the warped wall, someone at home is going, maybe I can do that.
Right.
Well, it's the messages. It's the message. It's the level of inspiration, but it's also the level of you really are limitless. And this course and this whole franchise, and you guys as well, spread that message. And then these kids are doing the same thing. It's letting people know that from all walks of life, you can put your mind to something super impossible and crazy, and what was deemed crazy, you know, a decade ago, and really do something great and have a great message to spread too, which we all need to hear that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think lastly is the ability to replicate this in in an organic way, whether it's your home, and I know I hear from the parents a lot, kids taking the entryway of the doors and they're turning it into the spider climb, or they'll make these obstacles in their backyard. And I think to me that has this grassroots feel to where, kids can dream and have and see that possibility. Like one day I'm gonna make it on that show and I can train for it. It's the same feel that I had as a kid growing up watching the Rocky franchise. And just after I would watch Rocky, I'd feel like, I know you guys probably all like that. You watch Rocky, you feel like I can be that underdog that can go out there and beat the Russian, and to go out there and beat, Clubber Lang. And the kids get that, but guess what? They don't just have to live with it. They can go out there and replicate it, and that's what makes it special. And then when there's a platform for them to compete on, like Junior, like American Ninja Warrior Junior, it gives them that much more incentives to keep on living and dreaming the dream of being a ninja one day.
I love that. Although I did see one season, I think one man built like a course inside his house.
Yes.
And his wife was just like you could just see the look on her face. She's like, I love that he's doing this and that he's happy, but like, I would love my TV room back.
Right.
That is love.
Right.
That is true love right there.
We do have a couple of questions. The first one comes from Sierra. Where's Sierra at?
Soraya.
Oh, sorry. Right there.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
How do you keep entertaining the kids out of the camera?
I'm sorry?
How do you keep the kids, how do you entertain the kids out of the camera?
Entertain the kids outside of the camera.
Yeah, well,
They entertain themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's every kid is there, so it's like a festival for them. Because all their ninja friends, a lot of the mentor ninjas are there. So for them, I think they're running around having a blast. The hard part is probably corralling them, being like, "Hey, you gotta compete now."
Yeah, it's trying to, I think, capture them from time to time. But they also have built a rapport, like they recognize where we are and everything too. But I think they're all there, and it's actually cool because behind the course there's a warm-up area, and they're all there, kind of cheering each other on, getting each other revved up. So they definitely entertain themselves, and then if they're not competing, they're usually cheering on their friends.
Yeah,
who are.
And then they're on a set. I mean, they're on a TV set. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's just like, but they're having fun because, I mean, for a lot of them, that's new. They're coming from all over the United States, and so some of them have never really been introduced to Hollywood in that manner. So it's still very new. Their adrenaline's pumping from competition, from being on that type of set, cameras and lights and fans. It can be a little overwhelming, but enough to keep their attention.
We also, because we're working with kids, production is a little different than on the main show. Where we are respectful, we only have them for a certain number of hours. So we're much more expedient in terms of getting them in and out than on the big show.
You know what we should do? We have an Xbox game now, Ninja Warrior Experience Xbox. We should just have like a little gaming area where we could just go out there and just...
I know, but I got to figure out how you unlock so you can play as the hosts.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good.
I can just practice American Ninja Warrior Junior.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty
pretty
good.
good.
I can't
I
get
like
quite as deep as you do, but. And who has Ashley?
Hi, I'm Ashley.
Hey, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
Hey, Matt. Just a quick question. What's the difference in environment versus working with adults versus kids?
So, Victoria probably feels that better because we're up in the host tower. But as far as, I don't want to totally speak for you, but I think for us, it's the same show. Where we do our homework the same way, we call it the same way. I think, we tend to be very supportive, but at the same time, we're calling the action because I think the kids want that full experience. So we are, I know in production they're obviously try to be as supportive, and we are aware that a 9-year-old kid might have a meltdown on camera. Yeah. And that's cool. And it's a wonderful moment. We give them privacy. We also try to have that moment when you've turned some of those kids' days around. And that's awesome. When you see a kid go from tears to smiling and just see, like, that's it. That's how quickly it can happen.
Yeah, it forces me to try to stay cool because in order to speak their language, you have to know what's current. And so I'm lucky that I have 4 kids. And so I'll ask them to tell me some of the new stuff that's going on, especially in that age group. And so when I surprise them sometimes with some of the verbiage, they go, "Oh, you know about the? Oh yeah, I know about that. I'll toss you the woe. Yeah, you want the woe? I got the woe for you. The renegade. Anyway, don't let me start.
TikTok, right?
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah, the renegade. See, you know. Okay, all right, all right.
Well, guys, I love this show so much, and I'm excited to see where season 2 goes because I got to check out the first episode online, and I'm just very, very invested. And these kids and their journeys, and like you said, the stories, which are so special. So, guys, make sure you check it out. American Ninja Warrior Jr. is back for season 2 on Saturday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. on Universal Kids. Put your hands together for Victoria, Akbar, and Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.